at each other. Hey, how are you?
I'm great.
Good.
How are you?
Doing pretty well. So my name is Chris, and I am here today looking for self-reliance. I'm here on a journey.
All right.
And it seems like there's a lot of good tips of how I might get there today. So maybe you could help me. Maybe you could tell me who you are and what you are doing here today and how that might help me on my journey.
Awesome. Yeah, well, nice to meet you, Journeyman. I'm Liz Nerad. I lead digital solutions and transformation at Palladium. So I think today here we're all on a journey, right? We're on a digital transformation journey, if you will. This morning we had a really great long conversation. That was another journey. And you know, something that struck me and stuck with me is from the Deputy Administrator for USA talking about needing digital disruption, right? Not just digital development, but digital disruption. And I would challenge that a little bit to say, I think we need digital transformation, and we need to think about this transformational journey that we can all be on, where we're changing the way in which we're delivering development outcomes and the mission and the goals that, you know, keep us motivated on a routine basis, but doing that through a different means through digital. So shameless plug, I just led a session that was actually called What is Digital Transformation Anyway? And we dove into really what's the recipe around it, what are the building blocks, what is the sequencing, how do we make digital transformation journeys, you know, serve those who need it the most in the areas that we're serving. So would encourage you, maybe if you go back to my session, you might get some tips, Journeyman, for how you find your way to self-reliance, maybe through digital transformation.
I would love that. Yes, absolutely. I'll go anywhere you tell me to if it gets me to self-reliance. I've been looking for this self-reliance for a long time. Is there one specific technology that you are the most excited about, something that's been presented at this conference or an aspect of what you presented on today that'll help us get there?
You know, I'm someone that tries to stay kind of technology agnostic and look at the big picture in the ecosystem around things. I think one of the things that really also stuck with me is thinking both about context, but also about really being able to find the balance between short-term progress and quick wins and the long-term path of what we need to get there. So I think you could plug in any technology into that sort of framing, but really thinking about how we change that value proposition and that long-term kind of, you know, the short-term gain for the long-term benefit and where we're going. So, you know, thinking about experimenting, we've had a lot of really fun sessions around using tech for carbon offsets, around crypto, and really thinking, you know, how can we demonstrate some gains using those and showing the case, and then being able to use that to set, you know, the right guardrails, the right path, the right infrastructure for the future for how those, you know, new technologies and emerging technologies really can be harnessed in a way that is, you know, doing what it should be doing, but also being safe and inclusive and, you know, all the pieces that keep our digital society, you know, functioning, you know, in a way that is inclusive and safe.
That's all sounds really exciting to me. Fantastic. I guess we're going to still go. So why don't you tell me a little bit about what specifically that vision is? Once we are transformed digitally, what does that look like in your mind?
It's a great question. I actually asked that to the panelists on the session today, and I think it's really about an inclusive society that has access, information, that's trustworthy, and that promotes resilience, right, in places that we work. I think that you know, going back to your journeyman theme, it is a journey, and digital is the means to get there, but it's not the end goal, right? And so I think we have to think about really what are we working to promote within this space, you know, and not always just think about the inputs, right, which might be the emerging tech or the cool, fancy new things, but thinking about why are we using those things? What's the purpose? How is that engaging and delivering on some of these really big, wicked problems that we're all interested in tackling around climate change, around economic growth and job creation, around food security, around health and combating pandemics, whatever it might be. Putting those really as the end goal and using, you know, digital as a means to get us there.
You seem to be very optimistic, and that's fantastic, and I think that's something, frankly, we all need more of these days, where there's a lot of pessimism. What are some words of encouragement that you would give somebody who is extremely pessimistic about our current state and our future as far as communication, the internet, and some of the challenges that we face right now that the digital transformation would resolve. What are the words of encouragement?
Well, it's a great question. I also tend to be a little bit cynical, so I will try to put on my positive journeyman idea here. I think looking back in the last 2 years, right, things have transformed greatly in the past 2 to 3 years with COVID, and we've seen things that were not possible in the past 20 years that have happened in the past 2.5, 3 years, and so I think that gives us good optimism. I think there are some, we've uncovered some risks and we've uncovered some areas where we do need to figure out where how we shape that environment a little bit more so we don't leave people out and we're not being inclusive, we're not using information and technology in a way that is, propping up authoritarian governments or is promoting, a polluted information environment. But I think what we've also seen is the promise of digital tech, where we've been able to deliver, life-saving vaccines. We've been able to educate individuals. People have been able to stay, connected in their businesses by selling online. So we've seen a lot of that push, I think, in the last 2.5, 3 years, and I think we can continue to promote that on our journey together.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, Liz. Frankly, I've been on this journey for a long time, and I needed some optimism. So thank you. I'm going to go back. I'm going to check out the talk you just gave, and maybe I'll find it with your help. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Pleasure. All
Good
right.
luck on your journey.
Thanks so much. All right. All right. We're going to go over here. Am I live? Am I looking at the camera? We're going to walk over here and see what's going on this way. Are you going to take this one? Okay. Hi. How's it going? I'm Chris. What's your name? Hi. Pleasure. Nice to meet you. I am a journeyman here today looking for self-reliance. What might Palladium have for me as far as self-reliance? Do you have any tips, any signs, anything that might help me get there?
Yeah, well, it's nice to meet you, Chris.
Nice to meet you.
My name is Maren Robinson.
Okay.
And I'm a technical advisor at Palladium and specifically sit on the digital solutions and transformation team. And so in terms of your question about self-reliance, I think there's some things that we're doing on our team or trying to figure out in our work on the DST portfolio. And a lot of it has to do with digital transformation of how we work. So I think maybe that's one way we can help you on your journey to self-reliance here. And an example of that, I think, is a lot of people that work in the health sector know that there's a lot of digital service delivery products that help deliver services. And we are thinking about what it means to work in a digital age and maybe what digital transformation can do beyond just service delivery. So like an example of a project we can highlight to show how we're doing that is recently through Health Policy Plus, which was a USAID funded project at Palladium that just wrapped up after many, many years. We try to focus on figuring out, for example, how we can use digital solutions to improve the health policy, enabling environment and health policy work in general. So moving beyond service delivery to see how we could apply digital solutions to more parts of the pieces of work that we do within the development space. Yeah.
That's really exciting stuff, and it definitely sounds like it'll help me get there. Do you have any examples to point to of how your work has helped in that regard, has helped solve a problem in particular? Any examples? Go-to examples?
Solving a problem. Yeah, I think, it's a lot of what the work that we do is trying to do. I'm trying to think of, I'm not sure we're solving any problem in particular that we can articulate in a short soundbite, but I think a lot of our projects are trying to address pretty large systemic problems. So a really good example is a project that we have called Data for Implementation. And the whole purpose of that project, it's a hundreds of millions of dollars USAID funded project or PEPFAR funded project over 5 years. And what we're trying to do is essentially improve data systems to serve people living with HIV. So different countries can think through what challenges they have or what solutions might be most applicable for that scenario or that context. And then what the project does, if countries are interested and want to participate, is thinking through what solutions our team can help them implement in order to improve those systems. And so the problem that we're trying to solve, and maybe haven't successfully solved but are trying to, because it's a huge problem, is how do we improve health outcomes for people living with HIV? So unfortunately, it's like all these really big systemic problems that we're trying to sort of chip away at.
Right.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah, it's like solving climate change. Like, give me an example of solution. Right. Exactly. Well, it sounds like you're taking on some really big things, and that's impressive. Is there any particular technology that you've seen here today, or something that you all are working with that excites you, something that is promising for the future?
Oh, yeah, actually, we just had a session that some of the people on my team attended. It was about low-code, no-code solutions and what benefits come with that, but also what risks there are, and maybe thinking through in the future what we need to do to mitigate those risks. And I think that's going to be really important, because I think it's sort of something that's inevitably happening, and it's more just a matter of how do we make sure we do it in a way that's safe and sustainable.
Okay. Got it. Well, hey, thank you very much, Marion. Really nice speaking with you. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Now we're going to go over here, and we're going to pass the mic. All right. Now do I introduce? Now, going to pass the mic to my colleague. I'm sorry. Could you please remind us of your name today?
Anachronistic Quaint.
To Anachronistic Quaint.
Thank you. That was close enough. Hello, my name is Anachronista. I am a time traveler from many centuries in the past, and I have been entrusted with interviewing people whose methods and ways I don't understand. Can you please tell me your name and what it is you do?
Sure. I'm Nandini Harihareshwara, or Nandini. I'm a consultant supporting Bixel's digital strategy.
Thank you. So I know that for me personally, a lot of this is new. For example, technology. That's new. I've never seen that before. Do you think, is everything here new for you as well?
Yeah, great question. I would say most of the content here is not new to me. I know a lot of it because I've been privileged enough to be in the field for a long time. The tech changes over the years from from your previous time to now. They didn't talk about crypto 10 years ago, but the problems are the same. The solutions suggested are the same for the diffusion of digital development, the infusion of using digital by default for solutions for problems that people are facing in developing countries. These are all very similar challenges that we talked about 10 years ago in a conference much like this. So that's something that I definitely noticed in the conference, that this is hard stuff, and it's stuff that we've been going through for a long time. So hopefully someone will come with some new ideas to make it a little easier.
Thank you. That was very enlightening and insightful, and I hope to learn more of that when I learn to read. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, sorry. No, it's not good. Okay, yeah.
Hello, once again, this is Anachronista Quaint coming to you from many years, many centuries in the past, learning new things, and I've come across this group of people. Premise, can you tell us who you are and what it is you do?
We're Premise Data. We are a crowdsourced data collection company, and we have an app where 5 million people have downloaded it and can get paid to do tasks like respond to surveys or go out and capture observational data in the area where they live.
That is quite fascinating, because back in my time we didn't have data. But one thing comes to mind is The Lord can see us working in the field, but they can just tell you that they do the work. So how is it that you deal with fraud and mistruth?
It's a good question. Because we're paying people to capture this data, there might be incentives for people to spoof what they're doing just to get paid. So we have to be really savvy to detect for that sort of thing. A good example is recently I was running a task in Cameroon where we were trying to monitor the price of cattle, and we got some really amazing submissions. But we also got a lot of photos of things like screens, photos of people's screens or computers, even one photo of a goat wearing sunglasses.
And you can tell that's not actually a cow because cows don't wear sunglasses. Thank you. Thank you very much. That was very enlightening.
Thank you very much.
All right. Hello, my name is Chris. What's your name?
Hi, I'm Shelby.
Hi, nice to meet you, Shelby. I am here as an explorer on a journey for self-reliance. I love it too. I'd love it more if I could find self-reliance. It's elusive. It's been tricky. But why don't you tell me a little bit about Proximy and what you all do and why you're here today?
Absolutely. So Proximy, we are a software program or a software platform, and what we do is we pull in different feeds from the OR, so cath labs, operating rooms, so we can pull in any live feeds and we can broadcast those feeds. We have a secure library that we also keep those videos in, so we do a lot of telementoring, telemonitoring, education, training, so that's kind of Proximy in a nutshell.
Okay. That sounds like really important stuff.
Yeah.
So historically, I take it that kind of monitoring hasn't really been around, and that's led to all kinds of gaps and maybe unknowns medically too, which can lead to all kinds of risks. I'm speculating. I'm not a doctor, but
you're here to explore. You told me you're on a journey. So yeah, absolutely. So Proximy kind of started with our CEO, Dr. Nadine Hashash Haram.
Yeah.
So she grew up in Beirut. She became an active surgeon. So she's based out of London, and she was doing a lot of global outreach. So she was going into Kenya and doing some reconstructive surgeries, and she kind of had this idea back in 2016 when she started Proximy of, why am I going out to Kenya all the time and doing these cases when I could be remotely training these surgeons in Kenya to do it, and then they'll have that continued support when I leave. And so that's how Proximy started, and we've grown into a global company. We now work with over 50 countries and offer support, and our main focus is better access to safe healthcare.
So you absolutely are the person I need to talk to looking for self-reliance. That's fantastic. Okay, all right, great. I'm getting closer. I feel it. I'm getting closer. Fantastic. Is there anything that you are really excited about? Anything else at this conference? Any technology? Anything that you've learned about today that excites you that you could maybe apply to Proximy or otherwise?
Absolutely. I think that I think every person that I've talked to here, everyone here has kind of a creative, innovative thinking mind, and so everyone I've talked to has kind of had different ideas on how they could use Proximy in their own practices. And so we've talked to some folks about opportunities in Africa and a bunch of different companies. So there's always something with Proximy where we're new enough where we find something every day that we haven't even tapped into. So a lot that we're excited for.
All right, fantastic. Well, Shelby, it was nice speaking with you. All right, yeah, have a great rest of the day.
Thank you.
Go over here.
Hello, this is Anachronistic Quaint once again, and follow me, please. I have found some marvelous inventions. Hello. Hello, we have the Museum of Tech Artifacts of Old, or as I like to... Yes. So here we have the Museum of Tech Artifacts of Old, or as I like to refer to it as Inventions from the Future. can you tell us a little bit about what we have here?
We have some interesting inventions from your future, our past. And one is going to be this one laptop per child device, which I'm going to hand to my compatriot, Courtney, to see if she can open it and see how long it takes her to open it.
While I'm doing this, maybe you can move on so I don't have a question.
So can you tell us anything at all about what sort of contraption this is?
Well, let's find out. This gives you an idea that you need to start thinking about design whenever you start working on digital development. That design is an important thing. And imagine this was for children, and it's difficult to open.
So if you have something that should be opened, you should be able to open it.
Yes, definitely.
I see. That's a very important part. Oh.
Something happened.
That looks... I am wrapped with anticipation.
Maybe it's a two-person job.
So is this what they call child safe?
Here we are.
Oh my goodness. Yay. Now, small question. What on earth is this?
So this is called one laptop per child. So the idea was you would give these to children, and the children would learning through this device. So the company that focused on this, they spent all their time on the hardware, and maybe 1/10 of that time on the software, and 1/10 of that time on pedagogy, teacher engagement, and all the things that actually matter to help children learn. So the big lesson that we learned with this is that technology is cool and amazing, and it is 10% of the solution, not 90% of the solution. 90% are the humans involved.
That is absolutely fascinating that children in this time period are allowed to learn. That's interesting. And what else do we have here? Do these things do the same thing as that thing does?
Oh my god. Oh, that's what the lights.
Yeah.
And I see there's a smaller one here. What do you think of that?
That's for kindergarten. No, I'm just joking.
That's...
Here, just explain this concept.
Whoa. Mobile Wi-Fi. So it was when you run out of Wi-Fi connectivity, and then you use this one next to your laptop, to your huge laptop, and you got internet.
Oh, interesting.
Like a hotspot.
So in medieval terms, you send scriptures through the air, or pictures, paintings of cats, as I understand, is very popular in this town. And this allows you to do more of them when you run out of air scriptures to send.
That's it. That's totally what it did.
It sounds like I have a lot to learn. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Anyway, is there
This technology is exhausting, so I think I'm going to pass it off to my compatriot so that he may do more of these inquiries that we all find so fascinating.
All right. Thank you so much. So I am now joined here with Trevor. Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I'm Chris. I am here on a journey looking for self-reliance. I got a tip that I might have some clues here at this conference. So I'm here today to talk to people like yourself that could maybe help me out. You're with DAI. Is there anything that DAI could point to when it comes to self-reliance to maybe help me on this journey? Anything that you all are working on specifically?
Well, in particular, at this table, I'm actually doing a demo on teaching people how to solder and how to kind of build these very small basic circuits.
There you go.
The idea is that with just a few minutes of training and kind of playing around with the tools, you can train almost anybody how to build a circuit and get started in kind of the makerspace and building hardware solutions.
Oh my goodness, that's amazing. I kind of feel like we need to do a demo right now. I don't know if we have time.
If it take a few minutes, have you ever soldered before?
I have never soldered before.
You look almost the part, so.
Yeah, I feel like the only thing I'm missing is the actual soldering.
There you go.
So, I don't know, maybe you could just describe it to me, sort of high level.
Sure. So we have these small circuit boards.
Yeah.
Some small instructions on the back.
Yeah.
And you basically place in 2 LEDs and a battery clip. And essentially what soldering is just kind of taking some metal strands with a very low melting point, and you heat up both components, and you melt the metal to both of them, and that creates electrical connection.
Okay.
And then you build that multiple times, or do that multiple times, and create a circuit.
Wow.
And so you end up with something like this, where you kind of have these little solder points where the metal is melted on there, and this actually completes the circuit and turns on the thing.
Beautiful. So what's the forest through the trees vision with this? What are you all working towards?
The idea is to show how easy it is. I mean, this is obviously a much more complicated circuit.
Sure.
But the idea is that anybody can be trained on this. It is not as hard as people think to get into hardware and building something like this with just a little bit of training and kind of know-how and finding schematics. Have a little bit of oversight and some training helps too to build these things. But it's really straightforward to kind of get these components and put them together. And then once you start thinking about problem sets in a different from a different lens, like with hardware, it changes the whole calculus. And so we like to kind of work with projects and try to find these kind of niche solutions that can be solved by something that can be made cheaply in country by local local beneficiaries.
So is this for more than just a light? What is this for? Is the vision to provide electricity to an entire house, to a village, beyond?
So this is a sonar stream gauge. So essentially this is a sonar emitter here, an SMS antenna here, or a 3G antenna here. So what you would do is mount this underneath a bridge. And it would sense the distance to the stream. So essentially if it starts to flood, this would be your early warning system. It gets above a certain program. So, I mean, there's a little bit of programming in here that you have to do, but once it gets to a certain depth or a certain height, then it would send out a message to the community and let them know that there's flood coming.
Okay. Wow. There's no way I ever would have put that together just from looking at that thing. So I'm glad I asked. Okay. Great. Well, that's really exciting stuff. What excites you the most? I mean, clearly there's this technology that you all are working to disseminate on a big scale, I assume, and that's exciting. What else at this conference excites you about the intersection of technology and the implications of its use with development?
So as a software developer, mostly, I found the discussions about the citizen developers to be really rich. I think opening up that space, it's similar to the makerspace, I think, where you have something that seems so inaccessible at first glance, but once you sit down to it with the right tools and the right kind of oversight training and planning, it can actually be very, very accessible. And people often ask me if I feel threatened by citizen developers, and the answer is no, because there's definitely a space for that training and that oversight and kind of that mentorship. And even as a developer where I could build something custom, sometimes I can do things faster and more in a more advanced and kind of complicated way with low-code solutions or no-code solutions to know what needs to fit into certain places. So that's been really, really interesting, and I'd love to be able to kind of work with different communities on kind of fostering that low-code movement. That'd be really exciting.
Okay. Yeah, it sounds really exciting. What is a problem that you all feel DAI still needs to be solved, and what are you all doing to solve it? Or maybe just what are the conversations you're having around that? You have 1 minute.
1 minute. Yeah, right. That is a huge.
I was just giving a minute. Yeah, you did that on purpose.
No, huge, long answer. I mean, since I deal with mostly technology, I think one is understanding technology, understanding the limits of technology, and when to apply it into what problem. I think often, everyone takes technology in general and thinks everything's a nail, right? That's your hammer. Everything can be solved by technology, which is almost never the case. Technology is a fantastic tool, but it's almost never the hard part of a solution, right? The challenges are, numerous, but they're mostly around kind of applying the right kind of mindset to a problem, and maybe it has a digital component, but making sure that you get the right tool for the right job is the key, and especially in the digital space.
So what I'm hearing is that once we're all robots, everything will be fine. Exactly. We can just program the right mindset. We'll be good. Yeah, perfect. All right. Oh, really nice meeting with you. Thanks so much, Trevor. All right, take care.
I know, like.
You want to get back? Hello, my name is Chris.
Hi, Chris. I'm Sophia.
Hi, pleasure. Very nice to meet you. I think we're looking this way.
Okay.
So we're just kind of standing this way. Imagine there's a person who's just watching us in that direction. There we go. So I am a journeyer who is here looking for self-reliance. I was tipped off and told that I might find it, or at least find some clues here at this conference today. So I'm familiar with USAID. I actually work with USAID myself in my day job. But I'm wondering if you could speak a little bit to what USAID is doing for that journey, and if you could maybe give me some clues on how I might find it.
Okay. Well, nice to meet you, Chris. So what we are really excited about is what we call the digital ecosystem country assessments. You might have heard about them working at USAID, but these help people who are working in digital development understand the ecosystem that they're trying to impact. And our primary audience is the USAID missions in the different host countries, but what we also try to do is publicize that information once we come up with the reports, when we've done our surveys and all that, with all the other actors in the development space. And so one of the things that we were trying to publicize today was what we call the DECA Ecosystem Dashboard, which is an interactive data tool that we rely on for our own research, and also have just launched to share with anyone else about the digital development indicators, adoption, connectivity, digital financial services, in those areas.
So this really sounds like a knowledge management solution, big time. What specifically, what kind of problems do you see this solving sort of right away?
Well, it solves for people who are working in digital development in terms of programming digital solutions. It solves the issue of finding out which areas are lacking in infrastructure, which areas are lacking in programming by people who are trying to impact digital development. And also helps with coordinating all the different actors. So, for example, let's say the different actors whose competitive edge, let's say the World Bank is working with regulation in fintech, for example, USA can look and see if there's coverage in that through our research. And you can also look and see, okay, we know there are people working in these different areas, but there's still more work that done. And if an actor like USAID or a fintech company wants to go into that space, they know where to begin. And we can even point them to different stakeholders, local stakeholders who are working on those solutions, or who are looking for people to partner with them to address things at the grassroots level.
That sounds incredibly important. So basically it's identifying gaps, identifying where there's areas that are supported, and then using a roadmap to plan accordingly. That's very exciting. I work in knowledge management with USAID, so this is very exciting to me. Yeah, nice to meet you. So what else at this conference are you excited about? There's a lot of technology, a lot of talk about putting that to use in innovative ways for development. Is there anything in particular that you're excited about, and how that might apply to your work with USAID?
Well, I just came out of this citizen developer session, and I'm not really a techie. I'm more of a social scientist, and I'm helping with this research on the DECAs. But I'm really excited about that. And we had part of our discussion when we did the breakout was talking about what USAID could do to help with maybe oversight and managing that kind of like open source in terms of ordinary people being able to code. Not code, but develop tools without being coders themselves. So we are really excited about that potential in digital development, and how USAID can play kind of like an oversight role, maybe with vetting some of these tools. I'm really excited to see how that could be also rolled out as an extension of what we do in digital development.
That's really exciting. Is there any problem that you still see lingering that you hope technology can be developed for? Any lingering gap that you see that your team has discussed?
Digital literacy is a big issue, and you know, we know in certain communities we can't really rely on digital tools to be able to address the digital literacy problem.
Right.
But it will be cool to figure out innovative ways to make digital literacy accessible in terms of the you know, you're a knowledge guy, providing the educational materials or at least some sort of practice where people can apply things in order to build their digital literacy skills. So, you know, this is a theme that we see in all our decades: digital literacy, digital literacy.
Right.
But there's only so many NGOs and even through the education systems for our host countries that could cover that. And you know, there's a lot of gaps and a lot of people who fall through the cracks who don't really get to build their own personal digital skills because they don't even have the digital assets to be able to do that. They don't have the. I don't know, it's weird to be able to say, okay, is there a digital solution to solve the digital literacy problem on the end user end? But that's something that we'd like to see more traction on. And one of the other areas is measuring. How do we measure digital literacy? And is there need to standardize it, or are there some, we know there are some core competencies, but it would be really, it's an area that really needs more work in terms of coming up with a universal way of measuring digital literacy and being able to find solutions to move the needle in that area.
Gotcha. Okay, good to know. Duly noted. I've stored it in my knowledge brain. So last question for you. What would you say as a piece of optimism to somebody who's skeptical about the state of affairs globally, locally, and you know, the challenges that you all are working on as far as, you know, knowledge management and data? What would you say to help somebody who's pessimistic about the state of the world right now?
I'd say the good thing, despite the state of the world, the good things is we are living in an age where we are all connected. We can reach out to either strangers or people we know. We don't have to physically move to be able to communicate or find resources or reach out for help. So I think despite the state of the world, the optimism is you can't really complain that you're isolated, especially if you have access to to be able to connect and reach out to people online. So I think that just, you know, digital provides that resource, and connectivity provides that resource where people can reach out for help and also for solutions, to co-create solutions together, because we are connected and we don't have to be physically in the same space to be able to address things together.
Well said. All right. Well, Sophia, it was really nice speaking with you. All right. Take care.
Game corner.
What's that?
We are going to the game corner.
Oh, game corner. Cool.
Do you like games?
I love games. Games are great. Am I still being recorded on this? Oh, it's great. Games are so much fun. But, you know, also